Hello everyone, welcome to Cyberscoop TV. Greg Otto, your managing editor here. We're coming to you from the floor of the 2018 RSA conference, and I'm talking with Craig Williams, the head of Talos Outreach. Craig, thanks for joining us today.
No worries, thank you so much.
So, we've seen a lot of interesting stuff so far this year. Let's talk about one of the big things that we saw this year with Olympic Destroyer. Let's kind of back up and give the synopsis and then dive into what you've seen.
Sure, so Olympic Destroyer was a really interesting piece of wiper malware who seemed specifically designed to disrupt the Olympics. Now, what was really interesting about it was the fact that not only did it follow some of the most successful vectors of things that we saw in NotPetya, but it also went the extra mile to incorporate false flags from several other APT groups. So basically what that means is that whenever a country comes out and tries to do attribution based off a malware sample, you've now got to take that extra pause and wonder, has the attacker implanted these intentionally to impersonate other attackers?
Right, so with that, on top of the fact that we're seeing a lot more destructive attacks, talk to me about how you're seeing that threat landscape change, because we've seen ransomware come and how that sort of works to boost pockets, but now we're talking about nation states doing things just for the reasons of destroying things.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So if you want to go back with it, it kind of started out with WannaCry, right? WannaCry was basically a piece of malware that pretended to be ransomware, right? It didn't really incorporate payment to victim, so it wasn't very good from a ransomware perspective. And then we saw that again with NotPetya, which was basically a cyber weapon turned loose against Ukraine, indiscriminately wiping as many systems as it could simultaneously, simply to damage everything, right? And so we saw that same strategy carried forward with Olympic Destroyer, and it seems to be a cycle that's repeating, which is what's so concerning about it. Now, this is occurring at the same time as we're seeing what I would say crime-based malware move away from ransomware towards crypto mining.
Right.
Because not only does it have a more reliable, regular payout, but from a law enforcement perspective, there's not as many damages, so it's much less likely to be pursued.
So going back to the destructive malware, is there one particular nation state that you see that is really, focusing on the destructive nature of it, or is this something that we're going to see nation states across the board move towards?
So the US government and GCHQ have blamed countries for NotPetya, but I think what we're going to see is that it was so effective and there was so little done to combat it that it's going to be copied. Right? The reality is, when you find an effective political weapon, it's likely to be used over and over again by different organizations.
So, moving forward, if I'm an enterprise or if I'm somebody, what do I need to look out for when we think about Olympic Destroyer and NotPetya?
Well, I think the top one is segment off what you can. Right, with NotPetya, we saw it come in through a supply chain attack. With Olympic Destroyer, the vectors were a little less clear. But at the end of the day, the more aggressively you can segment your network, you can try and limit those types of malware from spreading.
Great. Greg, thank you for your insights. Really appreciate your time.
No worries, thank you.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube channel. And for more on Olympic Destroyer and all things cybersecurity, check out cyberscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.